What is up, Cougs? I'm your host, Noah Bolter. Welcome into Unorthodox Sports on KGR's YouTube station, or YouTube channel right now. We have so much fun stuff to talk to you guys about today. We have a myriad of topics. We're covering NBA, NFL. We're going to touch a little bit on MLB playoffs going on right now. We are going to touch a little bit on the best fit to replace the Seattle Supersonics in Seattle and to become perhaps the new Supersonics. We're just going to touch on it, though. More to come with that shortly for sure. We have a Pac-12 schedule. Football is set to be played. So much exciting stuff to talk about. And of course, I can't talk about it by myself. So allow me to introduce the cast that will be doing the show with me today. On my left shoulder, Mr. Asher Line. Great to have you once again, Asher.
Great to be here once again, as always.
What a stud, man. You look extremely handsome. Your lighting's better than last week, too, so we can see your handsomeness.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely the lighting this week. It helps to actually be able to see me, for sure.
I blew you a kiss. You can't see me, but the YouTube audience saw.
Oh, thanks, man.
You're awesome, man. On my right shoulder, even more romantic, Mr. Aaron Monson, man. Look at that stud. I don't know, something about long hair just gets me.
Oh, is this it? Just like the little waves? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Just a little,
I can't see it.
Hair flip. It's okay. The background's more important anyway, if you can.
Well, it's the biggest difference between white and black Shaq. I think just as
it's
many
the
of you
hair
guys know.
and free throw percentage. I shoot 85%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys know if Shaq shot 70% from free throw in his career, he'd be the all-time scorer?
No way.
Jeez.
Fact check me.
That is insane.
I believe you.
No, I buy it.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
I saw that fact on TikTok or Twitter somewhere. I was like, wow, if only.
That's right.
Only.
Fellas, we got a lot to talk about today. Let's get started by going around the room. Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Ashley, you're not a fan. We'll talk about your undefeated team as well in just a little bit. But let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks first, because this past weekend they had a really good performance on the road at Miami. They, 4-0, one of the few undefeated teams left in the NFL, and we're going to talk about all those in just a little bit. But Seattle, truly a great win on the road. Russell Wilson had a pick, pretty uncharacteristic of him, that throw once again on the goal line, which hurt. But he throws it to DK, tries to make a play. The DB makes a better play. Second pick on the season, 2 touchdowns. So his streak of 5 touchdown games is over. But there's a chance that it's going to pick up this week, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So I want to get you guys' instant reactions to the game. 2 days later, we've had a little bit of time to digest everything and take it all in. So let me know, guys, what did you guys make about the Seattle Seahawks victory on Sunday? Let's go to you first, Asher.
I like their offense. It was definitely a lot closer than I thought, because I think Miami is a bottom tier team in the league. They just don't have many weapons outside of Fitzpatrick when he's in rhythm, and outside of a few key players. 23 points is probably average for them. It's probably where Miami is looking to get. Fitzpatrick just needs to quit throwing interceptions. I think he's one of the quarterbacks like him, Kirk Cousins, etc. They're more prone to making errant passes when you don't have as good weapons like Seattle does, and Russell Wilson definitely found them. One of the things I noticed too was Seattle was able to establish the running game. Chris Carson had 2 rushing touchdowns and 80 yards. I think that was a big key for them, because Tyler Lockett, who I played against in fantasy, and thankfully this was the time he had a dud in as far as fantasy goes. But if you get Tyler Lockett going, or if you can get him going rather, then you should look to other ways of getting touchdowns, and Chris Carson definitely did that for them.
Yeah, no question about it. Seattle's offense is extremely explosive. Let's go to you, Aaron. What was your instant takeaway from Seattle's victory on Sunday?
So for the record, I called them winning that game 31-24, and they won 31-23. I'm just going to say that right now. I'm insanely proud of myself for that. I'm super. I mean, the thing is, I was nervous the entire time, because I was driving back from home that when the game started. I left home at like 5:30 a.m. to try to get back in time before the game started, and I was probably 30 minutes outside of Pullman when the game started. So me and my buddy had it going on my phone with spotty service. So I didn't get the first 10 minutes of the game for the first quarter, but not having Jamal Adams, you can honestly tell it makes a difference. And I still don't know why we start Trey Flowers. I don't. Trey Flowers, his corner, he can't keep up with anybody, and like he's just so easily lost in like whoever he's covering, and I just feel like that needs to be changed. But all in all, I liked what I saw again. Russ didn't cook as much this time around, but that was just because Chris Carson had 2 rushing touchdowns. But I was still comfortable. I didn't like how little we threw DK that week either. DK wasn't. I'm sorry, not DK. Tyler Lockett.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, that was my bad. But like the few times that we did throw to him, he caught the ball for the most part. I mean, I think how many passes did he drop? It was like 1 or 2.
DK?
No, Tyler.
Oh, I was gonna say it's DK. I'll probably take the catches.
He had 4 targets, 2 catches, so he dropped 2 balls. But I just think I want to see more of Tyler. But DK did great again. Like except for like he's coming off that one mistake strong. The pick, it was bound to happen at some point. Like this is probably when Russ stops throwing so many touchdowns a game and starts utilizing the run game because it works so well. But all in all, I'm fairly happy with where it went. Like I think playing the Dolphins, it was a little close for my taste because we should have beat them by more. But all in all, it was fine. So.
Well, especially with the way that Ryan Fitzpatrick played. Like
exactly
couple picks. I don't think he threw for a touchdown. So
no, and also I was surprised with how he played. Like I thought he was old. But like he kind of played like I saw him run a little bit, and I was like, Conor McGregor with a bigger beard can actually throw and run the football a little bit. Like, that's yeah.
Yeah, and I heard Coward talking about it this morning. I completely agree. He said essentially that with how magic works, and we call him Fitz Magic. If it's there all the time, that's just what he is, and that wouldn't be magical at that point.
Right.
Let's talk about the implications on the division right now. And I want to talk about the NFC East compared to the NFC West. Seattle definitely a favorite in the NFC West right now at 4-0. The Rams right behind 3-1. It was a lot of fun watching Arizona and San Fran catch a L this past weekend. What are your takes on the division? I'll go to you first, Asher, and then I will go to you, Aaron.
It's still one of the tightest divisions, I think, in the entire league. Arizona losing doesn't add to my case that Arizona is going to be the biggest threat to them in the division. That was a close game. They could have gotten more from DeAndre Hopkins, and so could I on fantasy. But we're still 4-0, baby. If you're out there somewhere, Braden, that's the smack talk. Just don't do it. I was telling these guys earlier, some guy in my fantasy league was talking smack, and then Todd Gurley gave me 2 extra touchdowns, and we came back from behind and got the W. But the Rams were looking a lot better than I thought. They played the Giants, granted, so that's not the best showcase of getting a win, but 3-1 is 3-1, and you can't really argue with that. So I think their schedule gets a little tougher in these coming weeks, so that'll definitely be a true test to see if they can keep up with Seattle.
Yeah, no question about it. We got that. Seattle has a divisional stretch coming up in the road here shortly, and that's going to be really intense, really important. Aaron, let's go to you. Your thoughts on the NFC West, and then if you want to touch a little bit on the NFC East and how bad they are. Like that division is just so bad. Like a one-win team is first place.
A one-win team is first place, and that's only because they have a tie.
One win, one tie team. Also, before you continue, get rid of ties in the NFL, please. I'll start a petition.
Honestly, I would agree with that.
I don't like ties. I'm not a fan.
I would agree with that. Yeah. They should do like a field goal kicking off thing where it's like, how like hockey there's shootouts or in soccer there's shootouts. I feel like that might be kind of something with like maybe field goals that could.
Or they could make it like college football too, where each team gets a possession to try to score, and then if you both score a field goal or a touchdown, you just keep going until someone wins.
Yeah.
Because it's super unrealistic. Because when you get to the playoffs, that's how you do it. You just keep going until someone wins. You can't end in a tie there. So
it just makes sense to keep it going from like.
Yeah. Anyway, I was on my soapbox there. I'll stop.
No, I totally agree with you. NFC West is proving that we're the best division in the NFL. Cardinals losing makes me more comfortable. Like Asher said, it doesn't help his case with them being a threat. So now I honestly feel like it's one game that they lost. So I don't think you can get rid of that massive threat of Arizona yet. But I do think now that the Rams are going to be more difficult than the Cardinals, because at first I was kind of skeptical about how the Seahawks would handle both teams, because they're both. That I predict the Seahawks going 14-2, with the 2 losses being at the Rams and at the Cardinals. But I'm right now we're going into week 5. I'm a little more comfortable with the Cardinals, but not by much, because Kyler Murray still scares me, because he's kind of playing like a veteran, honestly. Like, he's out there, he's comfortable. DeAndre Hopkins is his best friend, and he throws to him and they win games, and they make plays. Niners, I'm not concerned about whatsoever with all the injuries that they've, with mostly Nick Bosa's injury on the defense. I mean, because Russ will cook him up. He'll cook him up like a nice steak. It's going to be medium rare.
That's what I like to hear.
It's going to be medium rare. It's going to taste amazing when we win twice against the 49ers. NFC East, I don't have a lot to say about the NFC East. Otherwise, like, it's a joke. The Giants who are 0-4. It's sad. And then the Cowboys, who I love seeing 1-3, because I hate the Cowboys. I hate them. I absolutely hate the Cowboys.
You and a lot of other people, I think.
Yep. No, I'm not saying I'm alone, but like, the worst fan in the NFL are Cowboys fans. I think, personally. And then seeing the Washington football team go 1-3, unsurprising. These last few years they haven't been good at all. But seeing the Eagles go 1-2 is kind of like a surprising thing to me a little bit. Like 1-2-1, whatever. I honestly feel like they're a better team than that. But to be fair, it's only 4 games in, so I feel like they're going to be the playoff team. I don't think the Cowboys can pull it out, and I think the Eagles are going to be the NFC East representative in the playoffs.
Eagles definitely have some weapons, and I think Carson Wentz is just not in a good spot right now. He's kind of on the downtrend. A lot of people are questioning him, and a lot of people are saying, like, put Jalen Hurts in, let him see what he can do with the wide receivers they have up there. And 1-2-1 is not where you want to be after week 4, but they could have easily beaten Cincinnati instead of tying. But who knows? In Washington, I think they're not doing great, because Chase Young, who they drafted 2nd overall, has been out a couple weeks with the groin injury, I think, and that really hurts them a lot. Because have you seen those videos of him in training camp just absolutely trucking his teammates? That's unbelievable how athletic and big he is. And once he gets back, they should start being able to get some games.
Yeah.
No question about it, man. In terms of the NFC East, definitely the worst division in football. I think it should be restructured. I think they need to change the divisions, because I'm tired of having to stress about every single win when we're undefeated. And in that division, we would already have a Y next to our ranking on the standings, indicating a division championship pretty much already tied up, which we would have. Yeah. If we were in a division like that. But I'm just being a little salty Seahawks fan. Right. But
I have a question for you before you go on. Who would you put in the division? Like, who would you replace?
I'd swap I'd make it so that like NFC, like Eastern and Western Conference. Like, I don't like the fact that it's NFC and AFC, and like you have to travel all the way across for just within the conference. And I like how the NBA kind of makes it clear. Eastern versus Western Conference.
So you're looking for a more NBA conference style.
Exactly.
Like, okay. All right. That would make sense.
Traveling. Yeah. Like, the game we just played at Miami at 10 a.m. was our time, which, those games are tough anyways. But, I mean, Seattle's been doing really good so far, knock on wood, and we did last year. But that was the farthest distance one team will travel for one matchup this year.
Yeah, and I love how the announcers just milked that too for like 5 minutes.
They said it was like 2,700 miles, something like that. And then they also talked about how Seattle has away games at Buffalo and at New England this year too. So that's just more traveling for them.
Yeah, but
not at New England, but at Buffalo.
At Buffalo. Okay. Oh, there was one other game.
At Philly.
Philadelphia.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's probably. But so I do want to ask you guys though. A very, very big name was just released in the world of sports, and I have a very, very strong opinion about it. I want to get your guys' thoughts first though. Asher, I'm going to go to you, and then Aaron, just take over as soon as he's done. I need to ask you guys about the Bill O'Brien firing in Houston, what it means for Deshaun Watson, what it means for the Houston Texans, what it means for the NFL, and where could we see Bill O'Brien ending up if he ends up anywhere? Asher, let's go to you first.
Well, I think, first of all, for the Texans, it's only up from here. I just don't know. I just don't think it was a very good fit. I talked about it on the newscast I did yesterday for Maroon News Aid. Feel free to go check that out on your spare time. But he's been criticized. A lot of the decisions he's made has just been super poor. DeAndre Hopkins, a top 3 receiver in the league, sent him away to Arizona. Their next 2 first-round draft picks are owed to the Dolphins, which they'll definitely use. And Deshaun Watson's been left with Will Fuller and not a whole lot of other options after getting rid of Hopkins. So I think getting rid of O'Brien is really good. And I really like Romeo Crennel as a hidden term head coach. I think he has a shot to stay there as head coach. I like that fit, and I think Deshaun Watson could improve under that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. I just think players like J.J. Watt and Deshaun Watson, who I honestly inevitably think will win a Super Bowl if the team stays like this. They have less of a chance now without DeAndre Hopkins, but going 0-4 with players like Deshaun Watson and having a defender like J.J. Watt, it doesn't make sense to me. And I feel like there's just so many better options than Bill O'Brien. He was fine was he with the Bills or the Jets before?
He was with New England.
He was in New England?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'm thinking of somebody else. That's my bad. But I don't think it wasn't a very good fit at all. I agree. I'm totally in agreement with Asher. I don't know why you would get rid of DeAndre Hopkins, who's absolutely insane. And then on top of that, giving the Dolphins 2 first-round draft picks, that's just going to make it that much. The Dolphins might actually do something good for the first time in a long time. So, I just don't think I think it's a smart move by the organization, and there's definitely going to be other options. He might end up at a college team, honestly, somewhere some D1 college team who hasn't been doing very good. Not a big school or anything, but I think that's where he'll probably end up.
And I think that makes a whole lot of sense. I have to give a quick shout out to my buddy Cal Steezy A. Smith. I do another show on YouTube, on my YouTube channel at DJ SQUABO, every Saturday where we discuss similar things. And Calvin, he's a YouTuber as well. You can find him at STEEZY A Smith on YouTube. He came out and said Bill O'Brien needs to be drug tested before the year, based on his trade for DeAndre Hopkins. You look at some of the moves that Bill O'Brien has made over the past couple of years, and I completely agree with that, by the way. There needs to be drug testing for coaches as well. Because if we're going to test the players, which obviously they're becoming more lackadaisical about, they don't care as much anymore, which is, to each their own, which I think it's good. Let the players live their lives as long as it's not affecting them. But Bill O'Brien is clearly affecting his job, because we see some of the trades that he's making. No expert, and I heard this point somewhere this morning, I'm not sure exactly who said it, but no expert, it might have been Max Kellerman, no expert thought that DeAndre Hopkins trade was fair when they gave up DeAndre Hopkins for less than a first-round pick and David Johnson. So, second-round pick, David Johnson, and that is a horrible, horrible, horrible move. DeAndre Hopkins had the connection with Deshaun Watson from Clemson. Both of these guys were brothers. Both of these guys were dogs together, and now they're struggling to put up points offensively and haven't won a ball game. So it looks really bad on him, but it's not just this move. It's moves that he's made in the past. The Jadeveon Clowney trade, where he traded Jadeveon Clowney for a third-round pick in Barkevious Mingo. What are you doing? And Jacob Martin was there too, but that's a horrible trade. I don't care if it's for 1 year. If Jadeveon would have stayed, great. If not, it's a finder's fee, pretty much. Barkevious Mingo and a third-round pick. Who cares? And that's one of my biggest problems with. I disagree with that move by Bill O'Brien. I also disagree with the move that he made for the left tackle, Laramie Tunsil, considering the fact that he traded away Dwayne Brown, the left tackle, who was doing just fine in Houston, and he traded him away for chump change, and then gives up first for Kenny Stills and Laramie Tunsil. You're sabotaging the team. You're playing GM and head coach, which is extremely difficult to do. And so I want to be very clear here. Bill O'Brien is an excellent football mind. Bill O'Brien definitely deserves a job somewhere. Bill O'Brien, I'm not saying as a head coach, but I'm saying as something somewhere. Bill O'Brien is the best, most winningest coach in Houston Texans history, but that franchise is the youngest franchise in the NFL. So that's not saying too much. They came in 0-2, but he has the most division titles, and he's dominated that division throughout the time that he's been there. But it's not enough, and at a certain point, you have to get over the hedge. I had a controversial take a while back where I was talking about Pete Carroll and how in Seattle this year, if we don't let Russ, because I believe Russell Wilson's better than Patrick Mahomes right now, and I was saying that before the year, and people said I was crazy. Now people don't think I'm as crazy, but some people still do. But I said if we don't use Russ, if we don't let Russ cook this year, and we go like 10-6, or we go like 9-7, we have a bad year. And say we missed the playoffs even with the 7th seed, I don't think it would happen. But at a certain point, like if we keep going and losing in the wild card or losing in the divisional round, at what point do we stop being content with that? At what point is that not going to be okay? At what point do we go get a new head coach that's going to evolve the offense around Russell Wilson like an Andy Reid with Pat Mahomes? And that's what my thing was with Pete Carroll. And so I was going to say, if he didn't do that, he would be on the hot seat moving forward. But he's clearly done it, and he's done a phenomenal job. So he's completely out. Like, he's not even in the conversation. I'm just saying, had this season not worked out, that's what it would have been.
Right, and like honestly, like even if the season hadn't worked out, I don't think they're getting rid of Pete until Russell goes. I honestly think that Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson are going to leave the Seahawks together whenever that does happen, unless Russ stays in there 10 years and then Pete hits 80 years old. That's a different story. But as of right now, like Russell, like he says he wants to play 10 to 15 more years, which is great. Like he wants to be like Tom Brady. Tom Brady's 43, 42. Something 43. Like that, 43, and he's the GOAT. Obviously, like people call him the GOAT. I don't like him, but he is. He's on my fantasy team. He did great. But I just I can see Russell playing for maybe another 7-8 years, and like once he wins another ring, which I believe will happen at some point, I think that's when it'll start to decline for him, and then him and Pete will eventually be out there at the exact same time. That's my take on that whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it would be nice because they've created quite the tandem there in Seattle. Mm-hmm. Like Russ and Pete Carroll just go hand in hand when you talk about the Seahawks. But it's definitely got to be on the back of the franchise's mind where, when, and how they're going to get rid of Pete Carroll, because he can't coach forever and he's getting up there in 69, 70. So I think his days are numbered. I could say, given how active and healthy Pete Carroll is, he could definitely coach for another 3-4 years. I think he's totally got that in him. And they definitely have championship mindsets, because once you win a Super Bowl, I think a certain mindset comes into play. It's like, okay, we have what it takes to win it all.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you got to have it again. You got to have it. You got to win that again.
The start that Russell Wilson has had this year, the Seahawks are definitely thinking, all right, Pete and Russ, let Russ cook, go get the Super Bowl. And so that's definitely where they're at right now.
Yeah, Russ will get MVP this year, and if they get the Super Bowl win, he'll also be the Super Bowl MVP. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh man, that just sounds beautiful.
I know, I got chills. I literally got a little bit of chills just thinking about that. It's like, ooh, it could happen.
But
but
the point I was making about Pete Carroll, and if he was going to be on the hot seat, I wasn't even saying fire him. I was just saying, look, you got to give him a warning. Like, look, dude, we can't keep having the same outcome and expecting something different by doing the same thing. And so that's what my problem was. We haven't had a first rounder since Earl Thomas make the Pro Bowl in their career, not only just with Seattle. So that's a decade. That's 10 years. That's half of my life. Like all of our lives. Like that's too long to not have a successful pick in the first round and to not be improving on what I think is the best quarterback in football. And so when you go to Bill O'Brien and the Texans, it's kind of the same thing with them, but their ceiling was lower and they didn't let Deshaun cook. They need to let Deshaun cook down there. What if they were to get, bear with me for a second, imagine how scary this would be. Deshaun Watson, David Johnson, all those wide receivers, Lincoln Riley. Think about how dynamic that offense could be if Lincoln Riley decided to go to Texas, where he was rumored to be considered as one of the guys that the Cowboys obviously would have dreamed about getting, but I don't think they would have got him. But what if he spurned them by going to the interstate rival, if you will, the Houston Texans, and helped out this team? I think this is a football team in Houston that has so much talent. They have so much ability. And Bill O'Brien's press conference on the way out, I thought he did a great job. First of all, stepping up to the pressure. Stephen A. said that. But I also thought that the way he said about the team was true. This team's going to win a championship at some point during Deshaun Watson's tenure in Houston. This move was for Deshaun Watson because they know he's not the problem. This move, yes, it should have happened a long time ago. But once once Fisher got fired for the Rams, they bring in McVay. Next year they're in the Super Bowl. Like, honestly, it's just like that. And this quarterback is better than Goff.
Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what Lincoln Riley's record is at Oklahoma?
I have no idea.
37-7. This man's lost 7 games in his entire career since 2017. For 3 years. He's 37-17.
He's also produced a couple Heisman-winning quarterbacks in Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
So if you put a coach like that with a talent like Deshaun Watson, I think it could work.
I think it would be awesome. I totally agree. Lincoln. The only thing is, I don't know if Oklahoma would want to get rid of Lincoln Riley. He'd have to get a really
it
good.
wouldn't be. They would not want to at all. Like, it would be he's going up to the big leagues. That's what it would be.
Yeah, but and I guess if you're a college coach, you have to take that opportunity, right? Like, even though you've kind of created like a legacy at Oklahoma,
you saw Matt Rule do that with Baylor.
Yeah.
So he was with Baylor all those years. Oh, sorry, no. I was just gonna say how Matt Rule tried to create a new culture at Baylor. They've been on the upswing last years, and then he got the offer at Carolina when they got rid of Ron Rivera. Matt Rule was like, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to the big leagues." So I could see Lincoln Riley doing the exact same thing too.
Yeah.
It's fair. The question is, like, why hasn't he done it yet? Like, if I could see him. He definitely has earned it. Like, he deserves a job on the next level. I could see him getting. We're hiring guys like Sean McVay. We're hiring guys like Cliff Kingsbury, but we're not hiring Lincoln Riley. Like, he could get a job somewhere, but like, it's not for everyone. Like, Jim Harbaugh, excuse me, I always get them confused. Jim Harbaugh was in the NFL for a while, was successful, never won a Super Bowl, but got to one, and 3 straight NFC Championship games. But even still goes back to college. It's just the NFL is not for everyone. You see what happened with Chip Kelly. That offense did not work at all in the NFL.
Right. Well, I mean, if you think about where Harbaugh went, he went to Michigan, and that's essentially an NFL team in college, right? Like the stadium, like the atmosphere there. It's almost, there's not much change going to Michigan from the NFL. But that's I think.
It's not for everyone. I would love to see Lincoln Riley in the NFL. I would love to see him go to a team in the AFC because Seattle's not looking for a head coach. I'd love to see him spurn the Cowboys because screw the Cowboys. True. Speaking of the Cowboys, now can we talk about that Cowboys game this week? Are you kidding me? 49 points to the Cleveland Browns. In a blowout loss. Down by 24 points in the game at different points. Are you kidding me? What is going on in Dallas?
Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is about the Cowboys. This is posted an hour ago. Cowboys released Derek Carr. Or Brandon Carr, excuse me.
I was like, wait a minute.
That was They released him.
So a little bit of breaking news.
Yeah.
Not
interesting.
Not a really big deal. But
I thought he was. I don't know the Cowboys very well. Excuse me, my bad.
No, you're good. Breaking news is always good. But
veteran defensive back. Okay.
Right, and he's been getting beat. They all have been, and that secondary is horrible. I made the offer on my other show. It's funny. After Chidobe Awuzie was ruled as out versus the Seahawks before we played the Cowboys, I said I'll do 30 push-ups for every backup corner. Did I make that joke here? For every backup corner that you can name for me without looking it up, and on the Cowboys, like that's going to replace Awuzie. And I never had to do any push-ups because their secondary is trash, and that is a really good thing for people that don't like the Cowboys, like us. So let's talk about the fact that the Cowboys are playing from behind so much. Is it Zeke? Is it the coaching situation? I thought Mike McCarthy was a good hire. I thought it was going to work. I thought these guys were fringe Super Bowl contenders this year, right now. I was so wrong about that, and I am thrilled to be wrong about that. They are that piece of gum that's stuck on your shoe that you don't know where it came from, and it's just, it won't get off. Clingy, like we're not going to be able to get it off until we get out the scraper, aka the playoffs, when they win their division at 7-9 and get spanked in the first round. That's the scraper scraping the gum off the bottom of the shoe and just getting them out of the picture. I want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on the Cowboys' horrible loss, and is Cleveland for real? We're going to talk about a couple of the games around the NFL, and Cleveland 3-1 right now, their best start since I was born, perhaps. Since we were born.
Since we were born, it's their best start.
Good for Cleveland. Is Cleveland for real? And what are your thoughts on Dallas as well as why do they suck? Asher.
So I don't think Cleveland is for real yet. It's week 4. We I like what I saw. The Landry pass to Odell Beckham, that was actually really cool. I'm glad to see Odell Beckham finally thriving. He's an elite receiver, and I think he has an opportunity to go off for 1,000 yards and, I don't know, 15 touchdowns or so if he really wants to. Baker Mayfield, I think those are achievable numbers for him, and I think we saw that 49 points. I can't name the last time the Browns offense was that good, scoring 49. And granted, like you said, the Cowboys secondary, you can't name a lot of people in that secondary just because that's how irrelevant they are. Their offense is not the issue. Dak Prescott can go off for 305 touchdowns on any given day, no problem. He has the weapons in Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, etc. Offense is not an issue whatsoever, and Mike McCarthy helps with that. But that defense is just so, like I said, the Browns scoring 49 just does not seem normal. It's 2020, anything can happen. Browns scoring 49. There's a not Sports Center or something on Twitter like posting that. It's like it's 2020 and the Browns scored 49 points. What's going on here?
Let's go to you, Aaron. What was your takeaway from that game, Cleveland, Dallas? And are the Browns for real? And what's wrong with Dallas?
The Browns are for real. I don't think I think it's too early to say that. This is, they're 3-1.
Okay.
They're not. Yeah. Baker did good. Threw 165, couple touchdowns. That's pretty average for a quarterback. Games like this, and I just don't think he's standing out enough to start being like if the Browns are for real or not. Like, they're doing great. 3-1, good for them. I remember last few years watching them win 0 games. That's just kind of how it goes. And seeing Odell do so well too is great because that kind of rhymed. He was great in the Giants for a couple years, started to slow down, but him going to the Browns, I think kind of revived him a little bit. And it kind of shows how good, and Baker Mayfield knows that, and he's utilizing Odell and just throwing it to him all the time. Odell averaging 16.2 yards a catch. That's a first down every time you throw the ball to him. So, that's well worth the investment, and I think the Browns are on their way to becoming real, but they're not there yet. And on the Cowboys side of things, so you're talking about how Mike McCarthy, if he might be a factor in that. I don't think he's a huge factor, but I think he's part of it. Because think about the offense he came from, right? Aaron Rodgers, who is a stationary quarterback and throws the ball all the time. Dak Prescott is not a stationary quarterback. This man threw 502 yards against the Browns. 502 yards. And that's a lot of him scrambling all around the pocket. And Aaron Rodgers used to just sit there and throw the ball right away, where Dak Prescott has to scramble around more. And I think Mike McCarthy is still getting used to that a little bit.
I feel like they led more in Green Bay. I feel like they were ahead. I feel like that's different. I feel like in Dallas they're trailing. So the game plan goes out the window.
Exactly.
That's not schemed up. That's just what they have to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's another thing he's not used to is the Packers have all when Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers were there. You compare all these quarterbacks with their coaches. Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll, Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. They're just kind of stuck together, right? It's they're almost when they're together, they are the power couple of their team. Honestly, they're the reason they win games a lot of the time. And I don't think Mike McCarthy has that connection with Dak yet. And I think once he develops it, or even if he does, I think that's when the Cowboys start to do better. And I just think Mike McCarthy needs to understand Dak's play style a little more.
I want to add to your point. I agree with what you said about how the Browns aren't real yet. We've only seen 4 games against a couple not great teams. If they win the division, I'll call them for real. They've never won the North. They won the Central back when that was a thing. Have never won the AFC North. So if they can go out, beat Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh, if they can beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and then take care of Joe Burrow and the Bengals, who should not be an issue for them with the weapons they have, because Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry are a really good tandem. I think I'll call them for real if they can win the division.
Yeah.
No, most definitely if they win the division, they're for real. I don't buy into them as a Super Bowl contender, but I think they're definitely a playoff team at this point. They're too talented. This is who we thought they were going to be last year, was a team that's going to be really good during the regular season and probably lose at New England in the playoffs. That's pretty much how it was supposed to be last year. This year, I don't think that's going to happen because I have Buffalo winning that division. But even still, I think it's going to be Cleveland just out in the first round, if not the second round of the playoffs. But I do think they do make the playoffs, which is a big step for Cleveland. So good for them. Dallas, defensively, their defensive backs, woes. Horrible. It's trash. Garbage. Put me out there. I played flag football last week. We started, and our defense was horrible. We're 0 for 2. But I might get some reps on the Cowboys. Like, seriously. They got to find an answer after getting rid of pieces this offseason like Byron Jones. I heard Emmanuel Acho talking about this, and I really like Emmanuel Acho's takes on a lot of things. What he said about the Dallas Cowboys is that their players are getting paid and then checking out. They're cashing in and checking out. And DeMarcus Lawrence, I believe, of the 20 highest paid defensive linemen in the game, he's the only player without a quarterback sack or a pressure this year. And he is a $100 million guy. Ezekiel Elliott had 34 yards against the Seahawks. $100 million guy. Like,
guess how many yards he had against the Browns?
Was it like how many?
54 yards against the Browns.
Just garbage. Exactly. He's not. That's not. He hasn't had nearly as many 100-yard games. He is leading the NFL in one category, fumbles lost. Like that's what he's leading in right now, and that's the problem with Dallas. Like their players are getting paid and they're not performing. That's what's going to happen with Dak Prescott if they pay him all this money. So I hate to say it, but Jerry Jones was right for how he's waited to pay Dak, because he wants to find the right deal, and you can't overpay him and expect to win, because I agree that Dak is not the guy that can make up for a lack of talent around him. Obviously he hasn't done that. Defensively, they need help. Obviously Wolf Hunter's been out. He's out for the year, and they need to work on the defense, but offensively, they got talent. They got weapons. Before that Seahawks-Cowboys game, I told you, this is the difference between Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott. Arguably, Dak Prescott has the better supporting cast, even though both are elite. But Russell Wilson is the difference. He improves those around him. He makes David Moore, Freddie Swain look like options. I remember before the year when the draft happened, I was hoping Freddie Swain would turn into something. I was hoping it wouldn't be another one of those Amara Darbos, that kind of never really plays and doesn't have an impact, even though we draft him, ends up getting cut. Freddie Swain, I remember watching his highlights in college, and he's just one of those guys. He's electric. He's a gadget guy. They can use him in a bunch of different ways. He's Doug Baldwin. He's Tyler Lockett, but less refined. He's a kick returner, and just like DJ Dallas, and that's why we brought in both. And Freddie Swain is out there looking like Tyler Lockett on some place because of what Russell Wilson is doing for him. And it's an incredible job what Russell Wilson is doing. So Dallas' secondary, definitely suspect. I want to talk about a surprising loss that happened this past weekend in the NFL. The Panthers beat the Cardinals in a shocker to me. Like, Matt Rule's cool. He had his time at Baylor. He has Teddy Bridgewater. But I thought Arizona, and I still have Arizona making the playoffs. I thought Arizona was going to be the biggest challenger for Seattle within the division. Surprisingly, right now, that's the Rams. What is going on in Arizona? Why did Arizona lose this ball game? Let's go to you first, Asher.
I think one of the big things I saw was not going to DeAndre Hopkins as much as they could have. I think he's definitely their best option, and Andy Isabella is another guy I really like down in Arizona. He's been making some good plays. I think Kyler Murray kind of has that same effect that Russell Wilson has, being able to make guys like Andy Isabella, like a Freddie Swain, like David Moore, etc., making them better. He had 2 touchdowns in that game, and another key was not containing Teddy Bridgewater. You saw him just chew that secondary up for that rushing touchdown. He was just able to do whatever he wanted to the Cardinals secondary the entire day, and I think moving forward, you need to adjust that really quick, and just going back to DeAndre Hopkins and just making sure you have your coverages down, not letting guys like Teddy Bridgewater just eat you up. He's definitely not a Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes when it comes to being able to scramble and rushing the football. You should be able to contain a Teddy Bridgewater fairly effectively.
And when he came out of the draft, I liked him as like a future potentially AB. Like, he has the potential. He's a short, little, fast guy, and he can really move. So I like the comparison you make with Freddie Swain, because both of those guys, little slot guys, little fast guys, can be a big difference down the stretch here. I'm sorry, Aaron. Go ahead.
No, you're good, man. So the Cardinals not winning. I think issue number one Kyler Murray had more rushing yards than Kenyon Drake. I mean, he actually over double the amount of rushing yards that Kenyon Drake had, and under half the amount of carries. Kenyon Drake's a stud. He's on my fantasy team. He had a couple good weeks. I mean, I'm still 0-4. That's not the point. I just think Kenyon Drake needs to be better with running the ball. Their offensive line needs to open up better holes for him. And also utilizing DeAndre Hopkins, 7 receptions for 41 yards. DeAndre Hopkins should be catching at least 100 yards a game with at least 1 touchdown. And that's how the Cardinals are going to succeed. And against the Panthers, which, they just didn't do that. Teddy Bridgewater threw 276 yards. And I'm shocked. I thought he was. I kind of forgot he existed for a little bit. To be honest with you, like he played for the Vikings for a little bit. For a while.
He was really good as the Saints backup. Last year, went undefeated when Drew Brees went out.
Exactly, he was a great Saints backup.
And he definitely
really
deserves
shows
the
what
spot.
Drew Brees does for them. I'm sorry.
Oh, whoa! Are you throwing shots at Drew Brees now?
I am. Drew Brees.
What?
Those Saints have struggled. Drew Brees does
Hall
not
of
age.
Fame, Drew Brees.
Like
you're throwing
fine
shots
wine.
at.
Like fine wine.
Leading passer in yards, Drew Brees, that one?
Yeah, I'm so confused.
They were
are
undefeated
we talking about the same
when
Drew
he
Brees?
wasn't there.
Are we talking about the same Drew Brees?
Are you kidding? They beat Seattle in Seattle. I'm not saying Drew Brees has always been like this. I'm saying he's declined drastically. And it started a couple years back right before the playoffs, and then the Minnesota Miracle happened. And then the playoff woes started to happen. We saw how poorly he performed in that Rams game. He started overtime with the ball in that Rams game and then threw a pick. Like, he is drastically declined. Let's not pretend that he hasn't.
To be fair, the Minnesota Miracle had nothing to do with Drew Brees. Their Saints defense has everything to do with the Minnesota Miracle. And then the lack of a PI in that one Rams game. Saints fans will always hate that, and I hate it too, because everyone in the world knows that should have been pass interference.
Yep.
Right. No.
Anyway, sorry, continue. No, my bad.
No, you're good. I'm just saying, like, Drew Brees has declined. You forgot Teddy Bridgewater existed. Teddy Bridgewater coming in last year and doing what he did. I think Sean Payton's great. I think that roster is great. I think he has the best wide receiver in the NFL as of last year, and I think you can't argue that because he had 1,725 freaking yards, which is ridiculous. And I think it's a really talented roster, but Drew Brees has taken a step back, as most quarterbacks do at that age. He's almost as old as Tom Brady. Tom Brady is an anomaly, and Tom Brady, even now, is throwing picks at a rate that he has in his career. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, Tom Brady has shown decline. Drew Brees has showed major decline. He's not Tom Brady.
It's because, well, I mean, I feel like it's hard to compare Drew Brees to Tom Brady because they're two completely different play styles. But, like, that's just my whole take on that whole thing. But Anyway, as I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted, no, I'm just kidding. Teddy Bridgewater throws 276 yards. Those are good numbers with 2 touchdowns and a pick. But I mean, and their run game, two running backs with with the touchdown apiece with Bonifant and Ian Thomas. I'm surprised in the Cardinals, but looking at the numbers here, I'm really not. I just think the Panthers played better. I think they wanted it more, and that's why the Panthers won. Honestly, I mean,
where's Isaiah Simmons been, man? Like, what's going on with this dude? Isaiah Simmons has to be the transcendent player on that defense that they don't have. And Pat Pete had a pick, and good for him. He's been, he's one of those guys. He defies age. He's been playing really good late. But the Cardinals' defense is definitely where the weakness lies. So they are what you thought they were, essentially. Aaron Asher, what are your thoughts on Arizona?
They have potential. They could be 3-1 if they don't lose to Matt Prater's buzzer-beating field goal last week against Detroit. They could be 3-1. They did not play well against Carolina, but I think they have the potential to bounce back. They definitely do. They have DeAndre Hopkins. Kyler Murray has been making that connection with DeAndre Hopkins. I think they're only getting better from here. Everyone's going to have a bad week, and this was one of Arizona's bad weeks.
Yeah, no, just back-to-back bad weeks, though, against Detroit and Carolina. Those are 2 games you can't really afford to lose if you want to compete.
That is true. They didn't play that great against Detroit either, and losing like that to a last-second field goal does not help your case either.
I'm excited about this, man. I love seeing NFC West teams that aren't Seattle lose. Like, that is, like,
me too.
Outside of a Seahawks win, that's, like, one of the best things. Like, the Niners, even when the Niners were bad, I would just watch them lose and enjoy it because I knew at some point they'd be back.
The Niners losing is kind of like the same feeling you get waking up on Christmas a little bit. It's like, yeah, it's all right. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah,
That's how I
it's
feel.
just instantly good.
Yeah.
Oh, we're brutal. We are so brutal. How do we not talk about something that is absolutely groundbreaking, breaking news in the world of sports right now? The Seattle Storm are WNBA champions.
Let's go, baby. We're too good.
Seattle
The Storm's
Sounders, who were champion last year. Basketball needs to be back in Seattle. Men's basketball. The NBA needs to come back to Seattle. Are you kidding me? 2 other franchises in Seattle just won championships. We have one of the best fan bases in the NFL. Our Seahawks are about to be the 3rd team to win a championship in the past calendar year in Seattle, and we don't have a basketball team. We have a hockey team coming. We unleashed the Kraken, but the Supersonics are yet to happen. I disagree with the fact that we do not have a basketball team. I think we need one, but let us take this moment and let us, calm down, dial it back. Let us be happy because of Seattle Storm. Breanna Stewart, first overall pick in 2016, Finals MVP. We swept the Vegas Aces. Love to see it.
No chance. We dominate the WNBA, dude. It's like every year we're
regular season MVP.
Yeah, we dominate. It's that easy. We're just a great team. It's like every year I see when the WNBA finals run around, it's like 90% of the time it's like, oh, the Storm's there. Wow, it's like, I'm used to it at this point. So.
Hey, let's. I do want to give you guys an opportunity to react to the Storm winning and the winning culture in Seattle as of right now, except for the Mariners. You can have the Mariners. Just give us a basketball team. Let's go to you, Asher. What are your thoughts on the Storm winning another championship in Seattle?
So just to be clear, Seattle does have a basketball team, like we're talking about. WNBA, just as real as NBA. Support women's hoops always. Big fan of that. I love Breanna Stewart as a basketball player. Sue Bird. 17th year, just like LeBron James, mentioning all the records he's broken, like 16 assists and a half or something. Unbelievable for Sue Bird to do that as long as she's played. And yeah, like you were saying, Breanna Stewart, all those championships at UConn, just carrying it right over to the NBA with Seattle. I think that's the next dynasty in the WNBA. Just with Stewie, and if Bird can be there for a couple more years, that's another few rings coming Seattle's way.
I am a man of jewelry. I love jewelry, so I'd love to get a couple more rings. Aaron, do you have any thoughts about the Seattle Storm winning another championship?
I'm not surprised, honestly. Like, it's been happening for years now where we dominate the WNBA, and it's just like players like you were talking about, is her name Breanna Stewart? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She's
a stud. Yeah, no, I'm just not surprised. She carries, and it's just going to keep happening, I feel like. Up until she's done, Storm are going to be reigning WNBA champs the next 4 years in a row. Right here. Quote me on that.
She's adding to her resume. Have you guys seen Breanna Stewart's resume already as a basketball player? She's got 4 NCAA championships at UConn. She's got Olympic gold medals, and now she has a couple of WNBA rings. It's unbelievable. It's like unbelievable.
Instant Hall of Famer right off of that, just over there. She's going to the Hall of Fame. Easy.
You have to put her in.
What?
BRE, just spell win. BRE and then Stewart. Or BRI, excuse me. But let's shift now. Let's talk about the NBA Finals though.
Okay.
The Heat actually won a game, which is good. It means the finals are competitive. This is exciting. Jimmy Butler had to go off, and I'm sure his back is still recovering. There's a finals game going on right now, but that back is in some trouble after the way that he carried that team the other night. Did not even attempt a three-pointer and dropped 40 points in the finals. Physically dominated the ball game. Let's get you guys' reactions to the Miami Heat winning Game 3. Do you think that they have a chance in this series? Do you think that they win any more games? What is your final prediction for the finals? Asher.
So I'm checking right now. They're up with 9 minutes left, 36-32. They definitely have a chance. They've been keeping it a lot closer than a lot of people, myself included, have thought about. A lot of people, after I talked about this in the newscast too, a lot of people thought after the Lakers went up 2-0, everyone was just like, oh, get out the brooms. It's going to be clean sweep from here. LeBron, Anthony Davis is going to plow right through them. But Jimmy actually had other plans. He totally said no to that. They held Anthony Davis to 15 points, which I think was one of the biggest keys, keeping him low efficiency on the offense. That's one of the biggest mismatches that LA has, and so for them to be able to contain him like that is going to be key going forward. And like you said, Jimmy Butler, 40 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists, one of 3 players to drop a 40-point triple-double in the finals. Do you know the other 2? Question mark.
Was it Allen Iverson was one?
It was not Allen Iverson.
Who was it? It was... I literally heard this stat.
Jimmy's playing against one of them right now.
It was LeBron.
Okay, so LeBron.
No, one
LeBron
of them was
one.
LeBron.
Was that one
The
Jordan?
other one was
It's
like
the
an
logo.
anomaly.
Jerry West.
Oh, Jerry West.
Jerry West. Okay.
3 players to have done it, and Jimmy Butler definitely performed. And honestly, I think he's going to need to keep doing that. Bam is back tonight, which is definitely key. And that's why I think they have more of a chance, because Jimmy won without Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo. So now that Bam's back and they have all this momentum from Jimmy's triple-double and winning Game 3, I think they do have a good shot now. But they need at least 35 from Jimmy and 25 from Bam, I think, if they got a shot. Because LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't gonna be stopped like that. And LeBron was also, he's had like a couple games in a row now where he's been a rebounder and assist shy of a triple-double.
Yeah. No, and we'll talk about our predictions for NBA Finals MVP in just a minute. But so do you think then that this series goes 5 games, Asher?
The way Miami's playing, I think Miami can push it to 6. I still think the Lakers are going to win, unless if Miami wins the next 2, I'll say Heat in 7. But right now, I still got Lakers in 5.
Aaron?
Predictions or just overall?
Everything. We're taking out all the baskets,
All right.
put everything in your grocery cart, and check out.
Okay, all right. I'll check out right now. I need Bam. Right now, Bam's got 9 points. Good. I'm sorry, 8 points. I'm looking at from the stream right now. I was looking at the wrong. He's about to make his free throw, which makes it 9, I guess. But I think Bam needs to start going off a little more as well. He's back, which is good. Jimmy Butler is going to have to do another triple-double. I think if the Heat have any chance, they're not going to win. I know the Lakers are going to win in 5. But if the Miami Heat want the slimmest chance of making this thing even more possible, Jimmy needs a triple-double in every game for the rest of the series, and Tyler Hero needs a double-double in the rest of the series. Just somewhere, somehow, it needs to happen. And I feel like that's the only chance that the Heat have. But they did a really good job, like Asher said, locking down AD in Game 3. But, LeBron is still LeBron, and AD is still AD, and I just don't think that you can stop. LeBron is somebody that, once he's in that mindset, you just can't stop him. He's just too much of a tank, and he's too much of a beast. He'll drive into the hoop no matter who's in front of him, and just score. It doesn't matter if he's going up against Taco Fall. He can still score against that guy. I just think the Lakers are going to win in 5, and that's it. I think that's just what I got.
If they get more production from their bench, too, I think that'll help. Because Kelly Olynyk, I think, outscored Anthony Davis. I think Olynyk finished with 17 and 8 rebounds, I think, which is just amazing for them. I didn't expect that, honestly. And I'm really impressed, though, because we were talking about it last week, how Miami's bench is just so inferior, we think, compared to Anthony Davis and the rest of the Lakers, for that matter. Because when you put McGee or Dwight Howard or Anthony Davis in, I
don't know about bench depth. I think Miami's definitely the deeper team.
Miami might be a deeper team, you're right. But I think when you look at it on paper, I think LA's starters in general will be able to match up better against anyone you put out there, like Myers Leonard and Kelly Olynyk, like we were talking about last week. Granted, Olynyk did outscore Anthony Davis for 1 game, but what are the odds of that happening a second game in a row?
Ain't gonna happen.
No,
and you're exactly right. Like, if you weigh into the LeBron and AD into the equation, the scales are drastically tipped in favor of the Lakers. But if we're just talking about the benches, I'd say Miami has a slight edge there, just based on the fact that Tyler Hero's coming off the bench, Kendrick Nunn was coming off the bench, and then they have such 3-point shooting. It's really styles make fights, right? Like we all know that, and what Miami brings to the table is bigs that can shoot. So Anthony Anthony Davis, or excuse me, Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee can't play in the paint. So it's going to be more like the matchup that the Lakers had with Houston, where they weren't playing against any bigs, and Markieff Morris got more looks than Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard just isn't going to have the impact if he's having to play outside the paint and defend outside the paint, defend at the 3-point line, and that's what Miami was doing. They were essentially allowing Butler to work one-on-one by eliminating the big man from the paint, and that's a style that the Lakers seriously have to be prepared for. They have to 100% adjust and make sure that they're ready to, put out a lineup that's suitable for what they're going to be playing against in Miami. I think the Lakers win in 5. I believe I said that before the series.
You did.
Yeah, I think we all have Lakers in 5 right now.
Well, I had Lakers in 4 if it was against Celtics, but yeah. Anyway.
Really?
If it was against Celtics, I had Lakers in 4. Yeah, we had this conversation.
We did, but I just
Still
in
shocking.
that moment I was like, wow. I was shocked now, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember being shocked about that. I was like, pretty sure Boston would do a better job, but regardless. I have the Lakers in 5. I think they get it done. Let's make our NBA Finals MVP predictions. Do they go with the story, give it to Bron after he gets robbed of regular season MVP once again? Do they go with Anthony Davis, who's had he's led? So LeBron leads the entire playoffs this year in rebounds and assists. Anthony Davis leads the entire playoffs in points. Who do you give the MVP to? Let's go to you first, Aaron.
Bron. You have
Love
to.
it.
I hate saying it because I hate LeBron, but you have to give it to LeBron. I don't like LeBron James. Dude, he walked out with 10 seconds left in the game. He doesn't talk to other players.
That was not great.
He's so full of himself. He's got such a massive ego, and it's like he gets the golden rule. It's like Jordan. Like, I respect Jordan, but I'm sure if I was watching Jordan play back then, he'd probably piss me off too. But since I didn't have to, he's my favorite player of all time. Except, second player next to Shaq. But no, dude, you have to give it to LeBron because I don't think points are enough. I think rebounds and assists go a super long way. Because I'll bet you all those assists we're going straight to Anthony Davis to give him points. So and I just think that's a double over just more points. So I think you have to give it to LeBron, even though it's going to be such a heartwarming story about him, doing it for Kobe, and it's that's great. But I just think LeBron's full of crap, and he's going to get it anyway. So.
Hot take. Wow, I like that.
That's
I think I'm in the same boat. I don't dislike LeBron.
Celtics fan, by the way.
I think, yeah. I want to say I respect LeBron because all the legacy, the hype, all that. I like LeBron James as a player. I had a pair of his shoes in high school, so gotta respect him. I say LeBron too. Rebounds and assists are crucial. Like, you see all the SportsCenter highlights of him catching a rebound in the paint and then just pulling Peyton Manning and just lobbing it down all the way down the court to Anthony Davis. There are not a lot of people who can do that. And like I said earlier, he's been a rebounder, an assist or two shy of a triple-double every game this series, and that's the value he brings to the team.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. He's not human, but I just don't like
him. Agreed. Yeah, I think I say LeBron. If they both keep up how they're playing and the series ends in Game 5, I think LeBron will get it.
Yeah. No, what about you?
Well, you got. In my opinion, I do think that it's LeBron, not only in this series, in the playoffs, and the regular season. I said LeBron should have been the MVP because when you take LeBron off of this roster, it's pretty much the New Orleans Pelicans, and they were getting swept. They didn't advance in the playoffs, and you don't have a Drew Holiday. You don't have some of the young talent. You have a lot of older pieces that have migrated there because of LeBron. So LeBron's impact is just unmatched. I don't really care about him walking off 10 seconds early in a game where they're just dribbling out the clock. Like, I don't get why they play the end of it. Like, I get it, but who cares? Like, 10 seconds left. Like, what the difference is 5 feet, and if he's standing like on this side of the black line, he's LeBron James. Who cares? 10 seconds left. He's pissed. He's angry, as he should be, because he got outplayed, and he needs to come back and come out angry as early on in this game and often in this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Before we go, because I realize it's 7 o'clock and the game's tied, can I go through my unranked rankings really quick, Noah? Because I want you to react to this. So I know you're excited.
What he's referring to, one of the topics that we wanted to talk about on the show, and then we'll wrap things up, ranking the NFL unbeaten teams. The teams are the Steelers, Titans, Packers, Bills, Chiefs, and Seahawks still. So let's see what controversially the Steelers fan has to say.
Asher, go from the bottom up. I want to hear you.
I was actually about to say that. The order you listed them off, Noah, is exactly how I have them ranked, starting with number 6. I think the Steelers are the worst of them, as much as I don't like saying that. The teams they've beaten are combined 1-11. I think they have the most to prove. I really do. I need to see how far they can get with a healthy Ben, because they haven't had him in a couple years. And then after that, Titans, Jadeveon Clowney will make them a little better. Packers at 4. It's under the Bills until Devontae Adams comes back and they play some better teams. Bills right now at number 3 with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen just absolutely destroying teams right now with his arm. Chiefs at 2, Patrick Mahomes, I can't put him any lower than 2 for obvious reasons, and they took advantage of a lot of mistakes from New England. There was a catch where Julian Edelman should have had right through his hands, and then he just gave it to Tyrann Mathieu and turned it into 6. So Chiefs just very opportunistic as of late. And then Seattle, Russell Wilson tied Peyton Manning's record for most touchdowns through 4 games with 16. Let Russ cook. Seahawks
I don't even think that's controversial, man. Like
it might not be controversial. It's just ironic coming from a Steelers fan having them ranked 6th on the list.
Right.
Or last on.
Well, in that case, I do appreciate it. I really do. Like, very objective.
Hey, I'm a very honest person. I'll call it. I call it how I see it. I think the Steelers have the most to prove out of these teams.
I love it, man. I love it. Aaron, do you agree with the list? Because I do.
Could not agree more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's call it a show then. I do another show on YouTube at DJSQUABO. That's also my Instagram. Let me let these guys have the floor real quick to tell you where you can find them on social media. Let's go to you first, Aaron, and then to Asher.
My Twitter is at Aaron__Monson. Post some pretty great tweets on there. And then my Instagram just at Aaron Monson. Shoot me a follow. You know where I be.
Asher?
Asher Line on everything, including TikTok. If you have me on TikTok, I'll send you some really funny TikToks. I spend too much time on it, honestly. I'll admit that. There's some good stuff on there.
Join the club.
Aaron, I'm about to send you that one. I almost forgot. I'm gonna.
All right, say less.
You're gonna laugh at it.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much for doing the show with me. You guys are both phenomenal talents, extremely intelligent, and I'm very blessed and lucky to have you guys on the show on a consistent basis. So thank you very much. I did not take that for granted. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. Had a little more viewership this week than last week. Hopefully we can keep building that up down the road every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. As always, I'm your host, Noah Bolter. This is your home for Pac-12, Seahawks, NFL, NBA, all that other stuff, coverage on YouTube. Unorthodox Sports.